Welcome to Understand the Math. In this problem, we're asked to find the rank and nullity of a matrix A. Let's start by looking at some definitions. The rank of a matrix is the number of pivot columns in that matrix. The nullity of a matrix is the number of free variables in a matrix, and that's just the number of columns without a pivot. We then have what's called a rank theorem, and the rank theorem states that the rank of a matrix A plus the nullity of the matrix A is the number of columns of A. That's because the number of pivot columns plus the number of columns without a pivot is just equal to the number of columns in the matrix. When we get a problem like this, what we do in practice is we're going to take our matrix A and we're going to put it in echelon form, and then we're going to count the pivots and then count the free variables. And that will tell us what the rank and nullity of the matrix is. So let's go ahead and we'll start by writing down our matrix A. When you recopy a matrix, be sure to be very careful. I often find that students will make a mistake in the original recopying of the matrix. So here's a hint that might help you. What I typically do when I do this, after I write it down, I glance back and I just make sure that I've copied it down right. That's a really good habit to get into. Okay, we did. So what we're going to do now is we're going to circle our pivot and we're going to get zeros below that first pivot. So we're going to use some row replacement. What we're going to do is we're going to take row 2 and we're going to replace it with row 2 plus 3 times row 1. And then we're going to take row 3 and we're going to replace it with row 3 minus 2 times row 1. And that'll make both of those entries equal to 0. Let's go ahead and let's do this. Our first row is going to stay the same. Now we're going to multiply our first row by 3 and add it to our second row, so we get a 0. We have a minus 2 times 3, which is a minus 6 plus 6 is 0. We have a 2 times 3 is a 6, minus 1 gives us a 5. And then we have a 9 plus 1 is 10. And then a minus 3 minus 7 is minus 10. Now let's look at the third row. We're going to multiply our top row by minus 2. Add it to our third row, and we get a 0. We have a minus 2 times a minus 2 is a 4, minus 4 is 0. And then 2 times a minus 2 is a minus 4, plus 5 is 1. And then we pick up a minus 6 plus 8 is 2. And then lastly, we pick up a 2 minus a 4 gives us a minus 2. Now let's look at our second pivot. That's that one right there. Let's go ahead and let's make that equal to 1. So we're going to take row 2 and we're going to replace it with row 2 divided by 5. Our first row is going to stay the same. And then our second row is 0, 0, 1, 2, minus 2. And then notice, before we write down our third row, let's notice that this row is the same as that row. So that means our third row is going to go to 0. So let's just go ahead and let's do that. Let's go ahead and put zeros down here. And now our matrix is in echelon form. I'm going to circle our pivots. We have one here and we have one here. So let's notice that we have 2 columns with a pivot. I'm going to label these columns with a pivot with a P. And then our other columns have free variables because there is no pivot. So I'm going to label those as columns with a free variable. Okay, so let's go back to our original problem. They wanted us to find the rank and the nullity of matrix A. So our rank of A is our number of pivot columns. And that's going to equal 2. So our rank is equal to 2. And then the nullity of A is the number of non-pivot columns or the number of free variables. And that is equal to 3. And just to make sure, a built-in check is that 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, and we have 5 columns. So we know we've done the problem right.
If this video has been helpful to you, please consider subscribing to my channel. Keep believing in yourself and have a great rest of your day.